It's Monday, so that means it's time for vocabulary. And you can see here, this is the vocabulary page we've been working on for the past 2 Mondays. Now, I do have enough space at the bottom of mine. We only have 2 words today, so hopefully you'll be able to fit this. If you can only fit 1 word, fit the 1 word. If you need to go ahead right now and turn the page over, again, we're going to use the back, so the same piece of paper, but use the back side. You can go ahead and divide this up into your columns, your 4 different columns, and start fresh. But like I said, because I have enough space on this page, I'm going to go ahead and finish it off. Again, you might need to start a new page. So the first word that we're going to do today is a word hopefully you've heard in math class before. The word is volume, and volume is definitely a word you need to make sure you know in both math and science, because this week we're going to be talking about measurement. So our first vocabulary word is volume. Volume is the amount of space an object takes up. Volume is the amount of space an object takes up, right? So you have volume when you're sitting in a chair, right? You have volume when you're standing somewhere. Orange juice has volume that it takes up in a glass. A gas has space and a volume that it takes up in a room. So volume is just the amount of space an object takes up. And in the details section, I'm going to write that in our scientific measurement, in what we call the metric system, we are going to measure volume. We're going to measure volume, and we're going to measure liquids. We're going to measure liquids in what are called liters. Okay, so volume is the amount of space an object takes up. And in the metric system, we're going to measure liquids in liters. That's going to be our unit of measurement. So for the picture I'm going to draw an object that we use in science to measure volume. And I'm actually going to put the object down here so you can see what I'm talking about in real life. It's this skinny glass tube. This is it on its side, but this would be it upright. So it's a skinny glass tube. It's called a graduated cylinder, and it's what we use to measure volume. And if I move up here, you can see it's got numbers on it. This particular one, if I zoom in here and maybe you can see if I put my hand behind it, you can see it measures in ml, which is milliliters. So this is the picture that I'm going to draw in my note paper, because this is the tool that we use to measure volume. So here's the sketch that I've done of the graduated cylinder. I know that my sketch is not nearly as nice and as fancy as the real thing. So it's got this kind of like round base, and then it's got this kind of tube that sticks upright, circular opening here at the top, and it is a graduated cylinder that is used to measure volume, and we measure it in liters. Okay, not liters, liters. All right, so our next word, moving down the page, is mass. And let me scoot this up for you guys. Mass is the amount of matter. Mass is the amount of matter, which means atoms, in an object. It's the amount of matter or atoms in an object. And it does not depend on gravity. So again, mass is the amount of matter or atoms in an object. It does not depend on gravity. So mass is kind of similar to weight, but it's not the exact same thing, because weight depends on gravity. Okay, so a great example of this is that if you were on the moon and then you were also on Earth, you would have the exact same mass, because the amount of matter or atoms doesn't change. But you would definitely have different weight because of the fact that there is less gravity on the moon. So I'm going to write in the details that mass is similar to weight, and it's measured in grams. So it's similar to weight, but it's measured in grams. And again, the key difference here is that weight involves gravity. Mass is going to be the same everywhere in the universe because we're not worried about the gravitational effect happening on different planets or in the zero gravity of outer space. So for my picture, I'm going to draw what I was just kind of talking about the difference in mass on Earth or on Mars. I'm going to try and draw two different people here. So this side is going to say the moon. This side is gonna say Earth, and I think I'll just do maybe just an object, maybe it's just a block or something, same block over here. Okay, and it's got, so this one we'll say is 10 grams, this is also 10 grams, and they are the same mass, right? So the idea that the number of atoms in that object is not changing. The mass is exactly the same, but the weight would not be. So again, mass is similar to weight. It's not exactly the same, but it's pretty similar. Okay, so those are our two vocabulary words that finish up that paper, volume and mass. These are both an information we can collect when we do an experiment. So I'm now going to be pulling some names from the jar to call on people to review the definitions of volume and mass, and we'll also go back to independent, dependent, and control variable today.